Welcome back, family. This is the Old School Traveler. Let me tell you about a city that the jury's still out. I've been there 3 or 4 times, but I find food, but not the places they brag about. Let's talk about Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina. Let me tell you about Raleigh. Raleigh is a spread out city. I mean, it's got about maybe 1 million people in the metro area. It's not a bad city at all. It's just spread out. But you don't see a lot of bad things about Raleigh. It's not really a university town, but it's got universities there. And it's got some pretty decent sized ones like NC State, Shaw University. But Raleigh is one of the places that they hype about some of the barbecue places because, Carolina's known for barbecue. The weather is always nice. You have that odd day, you might get a little snow. That odd day, it might be 100, it might be 105 degrees or whatever. But Raleigh's a strange city too, though. Now, I work with people who are from that area, and they tell you places to go at. But let me tell you something. Never take advice from a young person like a Kate who tells you where to eat at. I'm not into fusion food. Fusion food to me means that we're not sure what we should give you, but we're going to give you a little of both. Kind of like a rib and lobster place. They don't go together. No. But Raleigh in general is a nice city with pretty parks. But Raleigh used to be a city that you can get around fairly quickly. Not anymore. Nope. It's like any other big city, but it's not as big as, say, a Charlotte or some of the other bigger cities on the East Coast. It's not that size, but it's a decent size. So when you go to Raleigh, your expectations should be pretty high because you don't hear about a lot of crime and a lot of other things. So a lot of people think it's a pretty safe city. Now, saying that, I like Cary, North Carolina, which is a suburb of Raleigh, a lot better than Raleigh. But Raleigh it wants to portray itself as a food city, but I didn't see any food trucks at all in all 5 visits. I didn't see none at all. Nope, no food trucks. But they did have these large food courts downtown. They did have those. So I went to them every time I went to town. Every time I went to Raleigh, I went to them at least once. I'm just not impressed with the food because they brag about the barbecue, and I think they're bragging about the reputation that these places had way back in the day. They don't have that. They don't have the quality or whatever right now. And as a professional barbecueologist, I cook a lot of barbecue, and mine's a lot better than Raleigh. And I'm not saying that because I cooked it. When you cook for a chain or a place that the great grandfather was really, really good because the people did not have a lot of choices back in the day. Well, now whatever you got and you do it good, you got a competitor. I don't think the people in Raleigh knows that yet because I didn't have great barbecue. I had better barbecue in a place called Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Yeah. So back to Raleigh. It's easy to get around in the city because the speed limits are very low and traffic moves. It's not a big deal. Now, out in the suburbs, it's a different story. You got 540, 440. You got all these different I-40 interchanges. But traffic don't move as like it used to. It's still better than the Northeast. Don't get me wrong. But that many freeways and maybe the city is just congested now. Or the suburbs are just congested because everyone is going to the city to go to work or go home from the city. But my whole point about Raleigh is that if you want great weather, go to Raleigh. You want a lot of different things, go to Raleigh. Food just ain't one of them. It's just not really one of them. I'm not a person who cares about how pretty the food is or how nice the building is. If the food don't match, how they say it in Mexico, the curtains don't match the floor. Yeah, two mixed things don't match. And Raleigh is like that. And plus the other thing about Raleigh too, Raleigh don't really have any tall buildings. No, you don't see a bunch of 50-story buildings, 60-story buildings. Not in Raleigh. The tallest building might be 20 stories because it's spread out, like I said. And I don't mind that because that means that if a city is spread out, you should have a lot of parks. And they do. And the parks are nice. Don't get me wrong. The parks are very, very nice. and they have done a great job maintaining the parks in that particular Wake County or whatever county it is. They have done a real good job. But like my video shows you, I'm driving through Raleigh, and I actually went to the state capitol. It almost like they wish for the days of the slavery days. It's almost. But I feel that in Raleigh, your race will not hinder you from making it or not making it. No, it won't be your race. It's because of you. But I didn't see a lot of money in Raleigh either. I saw what looked like a lot of money in Cary, North Carolina. And don't forget, you got Duke or Durham. Now that's a ghetto. That whole city's a ghetto. That's one of those cities they can rebuild from the very beginning and no one would miss anything about the past. No one would keep any historical relics of Durham. But Raleigh is, the people seem friendly. But then again, that's the South in general. The people seem friendly. So that was no problem there at all. But I asked myself, what is there to do during the daytime when most people are at work? Because almost every big city got something to do during the daytime if you're a visitor. Raleigh don't really scream, come visit us, come visit us. Because when I look at some of those commercials, I see people say all the things you can do in Raleigh, in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Nah, it's really a one day trip to visit. There's no large amusement park that you're going to hear about. It's not on the beach. Yeah, there's just nothing at all, which is sad because Raleigh is a growing city, but I don't know what they're growing because nothing stood out that like, hey, this is their future. Now I can say one thing about Raleigh, and I know they're growing, but not in Raleigh. They have the Triangle. It's a high-tech triangle with all these companies, but that is really between Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. It's not like it's just Raleigh, but maybe some of the offshoots of those companies are in Raleigh because I have ran across a few tech companies that are down by the university or North Carolina State University. I have seen, I did notice that they have new buildings and they have some smaller tech companies in those buildings. So maybe that is what they're growing. But those look like startups, not like established companies. Now, I'm sure in the Triangle, it's called the Research Triangle. Yeah, I'm sure they got a lot of companies in there that you like, hey, this is great, and some people are relocating to Raleigh, not necessarily because they, because they have a company there, because they're teleworking. So they are reestablishing themselves in Raleigh. But Raleigh looks like a city of a lot of have-nots and a lot of haves. And the haves aren't extravagant expensive. They're just not poor. And when you go down south and you see people who are making minimum wage $7 an hour, maybe $8 an hour, and they brag about $12 an hour, yeah, that's the have-nots. Because I don't care where you are right now, you can't buy a house making $400 a week. No, you can't do that. Now there are people who try, and when I say house, I'm not talking about a trailer home or a pre-manufactured home, or a home on wheels, whatever you call it. No. You live in that lifestyle, let me tell you, you're poor. No one's ever told you. I just told you, you're poor. So my whole point is, if you want to go to relax, Raleigh might be the place for you because there ain't a whole lot to do. Like I said, you can drive around through the town and you're like, what is everyone doing? At every single city that I visit, I make sure I'm always there on a weekend. I'm always there on a weekend because you don't really get a true sense of a city going just on Monday through Friday. You got to spend some time on a weekend so you can see what's real, what's not real. And, I'm sure that Raleigh has these big festivals, but you can't have visitors only when you have the festival. If you're going to be a major city, which I think that is Raleigh aspirations, you got to have something going on almost 52 weeks out of the year, especially if you're in an area that's not too cold and not extremely hot. People will come. They will come. Now, they won't always come, or if they do, you get the same people all the time. And that's not good either because visitors don't do that. Now, shopping could be the big thing there too, but I didn't see anything for me to go shopping. I mean, it's not like they had this huge outlet mall somewhere. No, I didn't see any of that either. And I've seen a few malls, and they look very sparse. But I know at some point they get crowded, and I'm not the kind of person that's going to try and go to a mall on a weekend unless it's extremely important that I get that item on that day, which is very rare with Amazon. Because you don't want to go to a mall and they don't have it. But saying that, Raleigh is kind of quiet. It's kind of quiet. I think it's kind of quiet because all the crime is in Durham. It's a very, very quiet city. Like I said, I don't see anything, And one thing about Raleigh too is that downtown is walkable. I love that. They don't have these city blocks like we got up north, where a city block is a quarter mile or 400 feet or some crazy distance. No, a block in Raleigh is probably 100 feet. But I visited the state capitol, as you'll see in these videos. I drove around the state capitol and all around Raleigh, as you'll see in these videos. And Raleigh just seems like it's one of those cities that wants to be back in the pre-revolution, or actually pre-Civil War. They look like they want to be in that era. Well, I got news for you. If it comes back to that era, which our current president is trying to do, it's going to be slow. You can't give someone freedom and then put them back in a cage. That's not how life works, or evolution works. But saying that, I went to a couple places there that they were kind of like monuments and stuff, and you'll see them in this video. But I didn't see anything that just stood out and just screamed at me. I didn't see anything that says, hey, you should want to come here just for this right here. I didn't see that one big item. I mean, and when you research about what's there to do in Raleigh, nothing stands out. But now saying that, Raleigh is cheap. It is very, very cheap. I do like that about Raleigh. It's very, very cheap. I didn't see anything that, that was price-wise crazy. I can get a lot more for my money than I can up here, but I don't think I'm going to make the money I'm making up here. But everything is relative. Maybe lower taxes, goes a lot farther, especially if you're from a job or area that don't pay crazy wages. Because when you got a job that pays crazy wages and you retire, you want to go down to a place that doesn't charge you a lot for what you make. And Raleigh is one of those kind of cities. I didn't see, the housing was very affordable. If you spend $600,000, you buying a mansion down there. Where I live at, you spend $600,000, you buying a pre-manufactured home, pretty much. But the universities are quality universities from what I hear. They're very, very high quality universities. But you have to tell yourself, why would I come here outside the airport? The airport, Raleigh-Durham Airport is a very, very good airport. You can go almost anywhere in the country direct from there. But if you stay on the Southwest, you can go direct. But you can go almost anywhere in the country from Raleigh. Raleigh wants to be international, but that's not going to happen. And when I say international, just because you fly to Bermuda or you go to the Bahamas, you're not international. You need about 30 or 40 stops direct from your airport to another airport in another country. That's international. That's just how it rolls. It doesn't roll that you got 18 connecting flights and then say, oh, we're international. No. Those other airlines and airports are international. And they are totally dominated by Southwest. But, every airport got, a hub somewhere. And they're not really a hub, but they pretend they are a hub because you can go a lot of different places direct from there. And most airlines aren't going to have 2 or 3 hubs on the same coast or the same part of the country. That's not efficient. Now, saying that, if you ever decide that you want to go here and look at historical stuff, now they got a lot of that. But most of it is clustered around the state capitol, which I totally understand that. So that's why it's easy walkable. It's easy to walk because you go to the state capitol, you see a lot of stuff there from the pre-Civil War, from the Revolution, from the World War II. You see all that, and that's a day of you just walking around a really a small block. That's a day. At the most a day. That's only if you go into the state capitol. And I went in, and after about an hour, I was done. Then I walked around outside, saw a couple of things, and said, okay, what's next? There is no what's next. You know, when you go to a city and you think about the food scene, you go to places and you walk past places that make you want to come in. And they're not necessarily side by side. No. Every block, like say you go to a great city like San Antonio, every block you saw a restaurant that made you want to come in and buy something. And, you know, 90% of the time you fall for it. I don't care if it's a taco or gelato. It doesn't matter what it is. There is something that grabbed your attention. And in Raleigh, I never got that. And I think Raleigh might be a young person's city. And maybe the old people just don't come out, because I did not see a lot of old people at all. Now, I know Raleigh got some nice up-and-coming suburbs, and that could be where all the old folks were, out in the suburbs with the AC on, while, you know, with the air conditioner on. And I was walking around looking at supposedly the most thrilling things Raleigh had to offer. But if you want to make a nice visit to Raleigh, don't focus all your attention on Raleigh. Go to Raleigh, go to Chapel Hill, go to Duke University, but don't go to Durham. No. Don't do that. Now you're asking, now you want to test your body out. How does it reflect bullets? Because it's going to get tested. Raleigh, the crime did not seem like it was an issue. I never felt unsafe day or night. I never felt that way at all. But saying that, I'm sure there's a part of Raleigh that has that issue, because the news people do not make money when things are going great. Nope. And they always let off with some crazy 10-car accident, some crazy crime. You know, but like I said, one crime out of 1 million people ain't gonna exactly make you a crime-ridden city. That's not how the math works. So I say all that, and by the other thing about Raleigh too, on the food issue, there are restaurants and places there that are just not open on Mondays and Tuesdays, and some Sundays. Sundays, I get that. A lot of places down south are very religious. At least they claim they are. And right next to the church is a strip bar or a strip joint. They claim they are. But some places don't open on Sundays because people want a day off, a day of rest and relax. But I don't know how you can stay in business and make money if you got a mom and pop restaurant and you're closed on Sundays. On Mondays and Tuesdays sometimes. Now, the only place I know that can close on a weekend and make a lot of money, that is Chick-fil-A. Raleigh is no Chick-fil-A. Now, there are a lot of typical college type restaurants, you know, coffee shops and bakeries, all that stuff around around North Carolina State University. I didn't see shit around Shaw. Didn't see it at all. One school is primarily white. One school is damn near all black. It's a difference, not so much in the area around them, but what's being offered in those areas around them. I enjoyed a couple relic bookstores around NC State. I like a good bookstore. I really enjoyed them. These were throwback bookstores. You go in there, you sit down, you can read. They got vinyl albums, they got CDs. Hell, they even got 8-tracks. Yeah, they had all that in a couple of bookstores around North Carolina State. Around Shaw, I saw nothing at all. All I seen was a campus, a couple of flags saying this is Shaw University, and that was it. So the experience was totally different. And Shaw University is not located, I don't think so, in a bad area. I don't think so. So that is it. So my whole point is, if you go in there for business, I'm sure it's a great city, and I've been there for business and for fun. I even had a family reunion in Raleigh, and we totally enjoyed it. So it depends on where you're going and what you expect to get out of it. I know that all I'm going to get is, rest and relaxation, because the one thing Raleigh did not have a lot of, that was breakfast restaurants. No, and I get that. Some places, all they're gonna have is croissants or whatever. But no, Raleigh didn't have any places that specialize in, it's not a diner. It's not a diner town, not at all. but they didn't have a lot of places that you get out of bed. You say, let me try something new for breakfast. Raleigh is not going to have 1,000 places like that because they got Waffle House, the worst restaurant in the world. They got Waffle House, and that's where everyone's going because you can go there and eat all you can eat, from what I heard, for $5. I don't go to Waffle House, Jenny's. I barely go to IHOP. And IHOP is the bottom. To me, it's the bottom of the barrel. Now, because I am a Golden Corral, but I also, when I'm traveling, I am a Cracker Barrel person when I travel to get a good breakfast, unless the locals got something better, which 99% of the time they do. Golden Corral is just convenient because it's on the freeways. And if I'm going through a city and I see a Golden Corral, I pull over because I don't want to get off the interstate to go in some kind of city to get a good breakfast. But if I stay the night in a city, yes, I do. And I go enjoy myself. I have a very, very, very good time. Now, so saying that, you'll see some drone videos of Raleigh, and you'll see a few buildings that's decent size, but it's really not like most cities of that size. And Raleigh is an up-and-coming city, too. It has been for the last 20 years. And that's one of the beautiful things about it. So Raleigh is just not a place that I would go back. Like I said, I go back because it's great if you want to relax. And that's one of the benefits. It's not hustle and bustle for the person who has no business there. In other words, if you want to go on vacation and you want to go real slow, even by the South standards, Raleigh is not bad. But if you're looking for things to do, you got to do a little bit of work. You got to work to find things to do to keep you busy for 8 straight hours. If not, you're going to find yourself with a lot of brain cells being wasted, and you're going to find yourself with a whole lot of time on your hands. And then it's even worse if it's more than just you. Now you got somebody else complaining about there's nothing to do. By yourself, that's bad enough. But when you multiply it by 2, 3, and 4, it's a long, stressful day. You should not go on vacation and come back with a higher blood pressure than you did when you left. That's the point of vacation. Lower everything. Just like with Raleigh, you got to lower your expectations too. So this is the Old School Traveler saying this is about Raleigh, North Carolina, and save your money and go to New Orleans.